12 such things which are very important for each of us to know if we are using pivot tables. What are those? The first one is you can make these pivot tables in less than 20 seconds. Let me show you how you can do that. You have raw data. Just select your data, no matter how huge this is. Just go to insert and select from recommended pivot tables. You can find any suitable format for yourself. I found one. I got it sorted by states, and there you go. It's very simple, convenient, and fast to create your own pivot table in less than 20 seconds. Then you can get rid of the rows and the columns totals. So by default, pivot tables shows totals on both rows and columns, but you can easily disable one or both of these totals. If you don't want them, just remove them. On the pivot tables tab, you can go to the ribbon and just click on the totals button. Let me show you how you can do that. So for example, if I have this data sorted and I have totals, you can see over here on my rows and columns. So I'll simply go to the table menu, pivot table menu, grand totals, and I can turn them off and on from here, subtotals on and off, for example. There you go. I've turned on all the subtotals from here. So this is very simple. To remove subtotals, take only one grand total and get good visibility of your data. So similarly, you can remove the totals as well. So there are no totals. It's only the information that is available you can play with. So that is simple and easy to make. The third one is you can count almost anything in the pivot table. So you might think that you have to be working with numbers to use a pivot table, but by default, a pivot table will count any text field. For example, suppose you have a list of employees and want to get the count of the states. Let's see how you can do it. So I have a list of employees. I go for a pivot, and over there I select the employees states. So I'll get the employees counted by states, and if I take sex, it's automatically count, you can see. So every text field is automatically counted in your pivot tables. Then you can remove the data from pivot tables. Basically, whenever you create a pivot table from the data in the same worksheet, you can remove the data if you like, and the pivot table will continue to function. Each pivot table has a pivot cache that contains an exact duplicate of the data used to create the pivot table, assuming your data is in its own worksheet, but it goes off on the first refresh. So let's see how it works. So for example, if I have this table, it's pivot table, pivoted from a data on a field sex, and we can see male and female over here. So in the data I went and I removed this column. Now it is still appearing over here. It will continue to appear. It will continue to appear in the cache unless I refresh it. So the moment I refresh it, it's gone. So it remains in the cache till the time you press the refresh button. You can group the pivot tables manually as well. Although pivot tables can automatically group data in many ways, you can also group items manually. Here's one example where I show you the department-wise data. For example, we have the states information over here, and I want to make this state as department and group them together. So for that reason, I'll have to select any of these that I want to group together, and I'll simply right click, and I'll group them. So the moment I press group, there is one group, which is group 1 created for these. Now if I want to create another group of these remaining items, I can move them, or the states, I can move them in another group by simply clicking on again and group. So we have two groups here, group 1 and group 2, set up ourselves for our own convenience. So you can group yourself manually the data that you have in the pivot. You can also group the pivot table by numbers. One of the most powerful features of the pivot table is the ability to group data by numbers. You can use this feature to group by age, price range, or any numeric range that makes sense in your data. For example, let's assume you have a list of voting results that includes voter age, and you want to summarize the results by the group age. You can easily do it. Let me show you. For example, if I have this data with me and it contains age as well, I will simply go to the pivot. I'll select the pivot and I'll take over here, for example, for the purpose of counting, I'll take age and I will put it in the rows, and I can see from 19 till 90, sorry, 16 till 90. I have all the ages plus the yearly earnings. I have all of the users. So now I want to club them in a sensible category which makes logic and sense to us. So I'll simply click again on the group, and then it shows me the options of grouping, like starting from the age of 16 till the age of 90 and grouping by the difference of 10 each. So 16 plus 10, there you go, and 26 plus 35. So 16 to 25, 36 to 45. These are the categories that you can see over here that contain all the information over here for us. So it's grouping by numbers, which is very convenient. Let me show you another example of how you can do it conveniently. For example, if you have an information about invoices that you got paid from your customers, the invoice numbers, the document dates, document values, and document currencies, all of them are here. So you simply have the date where your amounts are paid or credited and the currency of the document. So you select the information, go to the pivot table, select the pivot table, simply go to the document date, because we'll group it by dates, and then by document value. So now simply go on to the document date, click on group, and then it's asking from the start till the last dates that these are the ranges, and I want to club them by month, days, whatever I want, hours even. So I will simply select by months, and I'll press OK. So you see it shows me the month-wise data, but the problem with this data is that I don't have a yearly breakup. So when exactly, which month of which year, that is missing. So I'll again go to the grouping, and in the grouping I will select over here now along with the months, for example years. So now it shows yearly. So in December, how much credits I did, how much cash I got, everything is categorized by the year. So that is how you can really summarize your data by numbers and categorize it. So this is number grouping. So you can move it maybe on the other sides, and you can see in the Fab 15, in the July 15, and so on and so forth. So you can move upon your convenience. You can also move it as per the quarters. So rather than the months, you can move it to quarters, and for the year. So you can see in 2015, in which quarter, how much sale or how much cash did I get from my customers. So this is somehow, I'll say, a manual number grouping that can be very useful. Then you can rename the fields. Yes. Normally, when we go in Excel, for example, here you can see some of the yearly earnings. It's an automatic or default name that is given by Excel to it. So you can double click on it, go on to the custom name, and you can change it to anything. For example, I change it to yearly underscore earning, and there you go. You have a change name over here. So it's very simple. You can change the name of such odd looking sum of, count of, and default names given by Excel. Then you can also add a field more than once in a pivot table. That's very interesting. For example, if you have a data and you want to see that we have yearly earning, but how many people are in this category? So we have this information, but we don't have the number of people. So I will simply put yearly earnings again, and rather than going for a sum of this, which is, you see the same information, yearly earning, I will simply go and change it from sum to count. Now it will show me the number of people. So how many people are in this category? I'll change it to number of employees. I'll select OK. So now we have yearly earning, which age group has how many employees in that age group. So this makes it simple to see how we can do it. So I've entered twice this yearly earning, once with the summation and the other one with the count of those employees. Then you can automatically format the value field in your pivot table. Anytime you add a value field to pivot table, make sure you set the number format on the field itself. For example, this pivot shows a breakdown of your earnings. So I want to see it in numbers. So I will simply right click, go to pivot options, and in the value field setting, you can go to the number format. There you go, in the number format. In the number format, you can set it up to, for example, let's make it currency. In the currency, you can choose any symbol that you like. For example, let's see where we can find the US dollars symbol. There are a lot of currencies over here, by the way. So you can just simply go in the details of the symbols, and you can find any currency of your choice. For example, I've chosen this So you can see it has changed. I selected only the top heading and it has changed the column information. So that's how you can change the format of your fields. Then you can drill down to see the data behind the fields. That's also very interesting. For example, I have this information now with me and I want to see how many people are there in this particular category. For example, this one. And if I want to see, I have to double click on it. So the moment I'll double click on any one of these, I will simply go back, like it will automatically show me all the information that is in this particular category or the group in a separate sheet. So I have a separate spreadsheet to see the information that I had in a category. It's always in a tabular format, so it's easy for further pivoting if you want to do on this. Then formatting the empty cells. That is sometimes a dilemma, that we have empty cells. If you have a pivot table that has a lot of blank cells, you can control the character that is displayed in each blank cell. By default, empty cells will display nothing at all. For that purpose, I will show you how you can control it. So for example, this table has a lot of empty, you see, cells. And we really need to control this. So for this reason, I will simply select, I will go onto the field table options, and here we go. For empty cells, show, let's say for example, dash hyphen. I put a hyphen and I select OK. So every empty cell, it looks better now, rather than only the empty, but it's hyphen, that there is no information or no numbers over here. So it's a bit better format, I'll say, to show up. And last thing is the turning off auto fit when necessary. So by default, when you refresh a pivot table, the columns that contain data are adjusted automatically to best fit of the data. So normally this is a good thing, but it can drive you crazy if you have other things on the spreadsheet along with the pivot table, or if you have carefully adjusted the columns with manually and you don't want them to be changed automatically. And for this reason, we can disable it. Let me show you how you can do it. So for example, we have a pivot table over here. I've selected let's say one format, any one of them. So we have this data, but I want to format it myself and I don't want it to be changed automatically. So for that reason, I have to go to the pivot options and I have to disable this auto fit. So now if I go and I change the formatting, it will not change even if I change refresh or whatever to like for example refresh. It will not change the data format of the representation that I have over here. So it makes it manual and simple. So that was it. From my side, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Looking forward to talk to you again. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.